Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is the Prepper Dad here, continuing on with the ABC series. Today we are starting with the letter P, and we're going to end with the letter S. Now, again, the reason for doing this is so we see everything happening, what's going on, and this is basic stuff, not to overwhelm you, but to think about where to start, and we're doing it in an alphabetical order. Let's get going. All right, so these are in no particular order when it comes to the letters, but again, we're starting with the letter P. And the very first one that I have written down on my sheet here is paper plates. Now, you could do any kind of paper products, whether they're paper plates, paper cups, paper towels, toilet paper. Well, I'm probably going to mention that again in the tease. If you guys were around a couple years ago and couldn't find any, well, that's why you want to have some. I mean, you think about anything paper product is not going to expire. Okay, it's not going to lose flavor, because I do not think that anybody is going to walk by your house and see you munching on one of these. And so anything paper goods, all right, take a look at what you have. Can you use more? Can you add more? Now, the next one is plywood. Now, why would I mention plywood in a prepping scenario? Well, there's a couple different reasons. Again, I don't know where you live. Okay, you might be prone to things like hurricanes. All right, so you see all the time when we're in hurricane season and you switched over to the Weather Channel, you know, they're boarding up their windows with plywood. Okay, you never know when it can be used in a security feature to also keep people out. You don't want to see people throwing things through your windows. We saw that in the, well, I'll just call them for what they were. They were riots. They were straight up riots. Okay, they were not peaceful protests. Okay, they were burning down cities. That was that was a riot. Those were riots. Okay, people were using plywood to do the best that they could. Now, another thing that I put on there was a pressure cooker or a pressure canner. Okay, those are for obvious reasons, but pressure canner more specifically for long-term storage. Okay, like I said before with mason jars, I talked about that on an earlier video. And another thing that I mentioned is playing cards. Now, playing cards or any kind of game, anything that you can do to have fun, get your mind off of things, without thinking of all the negative aspects of what's going on around you. Take a look at what you currently have. Again, you'll be surprised at what you have in that junk drawer. All right, you guys probably have a set of cards in there, but make sure that you have all 52, right? I put on here as well pliers, but this can go to any kind of tool that is non-electrical. Okay, so make sure that there are some that you have that still open and close properly. Take a look at hammers, any kind of tools, but I specifically put pliers on here because that is one of the most versatile tools, in my opinion, that you can have around the house. Now, moving on to the letter Q. Look, there are certain letters that have a ton of stuff. P is one of them. Okay, so is R and S. Okay, I had to pick just a few. But when we come to the letter Q, I wanted to make up words. Okay, so I have two things, just two, in the Q's. Okay, one is quilts. Why do I mention quilts? Is because they can be a source of warmth. You don't necessarily have to have what's considered a quote quilt, but just have blankets. Okay, you never know when your power might go out. You never know when you're going to need to stay warm. Okay, again, this is emergency preparedness. You never know. The other thing is Q-tips. Now, I would be incorrect in thinking that the majority of people use them for other things than Q-tips in the ear, or cleaning their ears. I know that is what they are mostly bought for. However, if you actually look at the box, it says don't do that. Okay. but we do it anyway. However, they could be used for a lot of different things. I'm not going to mention everything that you could use Q-tips for, but getting into small creases, getting into those areas where your fingers just won't get to clean. You can get things like grease or makeup or spills. You might be able to use a Q-tip. And so if you don't have some, I mean, you get a big box of them. I mean, they're cheap, they're relatively inexpensive. And if you have a use for one a day, that entire box will last you at least a year if you get the big pack. All right, so that's enough with the Q's. Moving on to the letter R. Now, one of the things that I do want you guys to really think about getting is a good radio. Go to your favorite store or get on your favorite online website or get on Google, something. Okay, try not to mention any kind of push you towards any specific website, but go to a search engine and type in NOAA, I think that's what it is, and NOAA radio. And what that is for weather emergencies. So again, I talk about the hurricanes earlier. Maybe it's a tornado, maybe it's an earthquake, maybe maybe it's something else. But when you don't have access, you'll have that radio with you. But this could also mean going into the two-way radios, the ham radios, the different types of communications when cell phone doesn't work, when other types of communication isn't available. That radio can keep you connected to others out there, and it could potentially save your life. You never know. So I encourage you guys to at least think about that. Think about that. It might, if it is strictly for emergency use only, you might not ever use it until, I shouldn't say ever use it, but you might only use it just a couple times a year. And that's quite all right. That'll give you time to make sure that you know how to use it properly. You can actually, search YouTube videos and see how to use it. Another thing as well that I put on here is rope. Okay, there are so many things that you can do with rope. You can tie things together. You can, tie things together. I'm thinking of all the different uses for rope, and it's to tie things together. It's to hold things together. It's to bundle them together. It's you can use it for an escape. You see people throwing things out of their window in a fire, and they use rope to crawl down or climb down, not crawl. Razors. Another thing to take a look at is hygiene is very important. You want to keep that fresh shave on your face. If you're a guy, if you're a woman, you might want to shave your legs or shave your armpits, or for a small select of you, even shave up here. All right. Whatever. Don't leave me comments. You know who I'm talking about. You've seen them. Okay. I might edit that out, but if I don't, whatever. The other thing, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is a rifle. I mentioned rifle because I believe that is a huge source of what am I trying to say? It can bring your family food. It could bring your family security. It could. A rifle is an excellent tool when need be. Okay, I know that there's certain people who have their thoughts or their differences when it comes to rifles or firearms or any of that sort of nature. However, this is my channel, and we're on the letter R's, and so I'm going to talk about rifles. Now, it could be a 30-06, it can be a 308, it could be any kind of caliber that you want in a rifle, as long as you know how to use it and you know what it's capable of. What it's the limitations, I should say, of that rifle. So that is why I put that in the letter R's, because I wanted to make sure I talk about it. All right, so moving on to the letter S. A lot of these, I'm going to say socks, but it could also be sneakers. It could be shirts. Think about your clothing. When can you get it? When can't you get it? It's going to be, you want you want to stay clothed, right? Look at what's available to you now and think about, are you growing? Are you growing up? Are your kids growing up? Or are you growing out? Okay. You might want to take a look at that. You might want to see, okay, what should I invest in? I'm looking forward. Am I going to be able to get that uh, that particular item at this particular price as I can today? All right. Sleeping bags. I again, I'm listing things just to think about. Keeping warm. That can go with the quilt. If you have a good sleeping bag, I have my wife and I. When we were married, we lived in a completely different area. Our climate was completely different, and so I have one of those mummy bags that is like, it's good for like minus 20, minus 40 degrees. It's ridiculously warm. I have one of those. I don't use it. You can see behind me. It's pretty warm here. I'm not using that here in the summer, but I might use that if it's really cold. I mentioned hygiene a little earlier, but think about shampoo. You think about conditioner as well. So we have, whenever I buy like combo packs of shampoo and conditioner, I buy a couple just to have them, because the last thing that you want is to turn that shampoo bottle over, and then it makes that noise to tell you, oh, there's no more in here. It's like, darn it, I guess I'm not washing my hair today. Well, having more, having something extra, preparing, it doesn't always have to be for when an SHTF an SHTF issue occurs. It could be just every day, and that's what we really want to do. Is we want to have our supply that we go through and we replenish, whether it's food or whether it's shampoo. All right. So another thing that can go with the tools is a saw. Not only are pliers good to have, but a good saw is. You see behind me, I have so many trees here in the yard, and it will get winter later on. It's going to get cold. Good firewood, okay? But there are other issues, other things that may happen that you might need a saw, maybe to cut something off in order to move it. If something falls during a storm. I don't know what you might use a saw for. I'm not you. I'm only throwing out suggestions, okay? Pick them up at Lowe's. Go to Home Depot. Do what do what you want. It's your money. If you have one already, you might be fine with it. All right, the teas. This is another area where there are lots of things that start with T. We're only going to cover just a few. All right, toothbrush, toothpaste. Okay, I cannot stress how important dental hygiene is, especially during emergency preparedness. If we get to a point where nothing becomes available, you do not want to have a toothache. You do not want to have a cavity. You do not want to go through that. You're going to have to use that hammer and use that set of pliers I was talking about for dental work. Go see a dentist. Check out your teeth. Make sure that you're doing good there. All right. So to go along with the sleeping bag, I thought, well, you need a tent. And I'm not saying that you need to go out and buy camping supplies. Again, this is the letter T. There's a lot of things to it, but think of the possibility if you have to leave. If something happens, this is emergency preparedness. Okay, if something happens to your main home, or if you're out and about, or you're forced out of your house, do you have the protection that you might need, or do you have something that can provide some sort of relief from the elements? I'm not saying that you need to look at your tent and say, you know what, Matt said, the prepper dad said I needed to buy 5 more tents. If you want to buy 5 more, that's your money, but I'm not saying you have to. Just make sure, we have a couple tents. We have a couple tents, and they all serve their purpose. But some of them formed. Is that the word that I'm looking for? But they have a hole in it, or they have like a minor leak. Now, if it's not raining, it's fine. But if it does start to rain, well then you get a little wet. Tweezers, Tweezers are another thing. Take a look at your tweezers. The reason I mentioned tweezers is because nobody likes to get a sliver, not being able to do anything about it. But make sure that your tweezers come together. You know, you don't want a set of tweezers, and I'm looking at my fingers, and so don't have them to where they, you know, and then they're closed right here. Okay, that's not closed. This is closed. Okay, this is not going to get a sliver out. This will. All right, take a look at them. You guys know what I'm talking about, because not all tweezers are created equally. They mess up. The last thing I want to talk about, boy, if you've been living under a rock, you don't know about this. But if you haven't, if your head's been out of the sand for the past couple years, you know that how much a run on toilet paper will happen. It will happen. Get some. You're gonna use it. Trust me, you're gonna use it. You're gonna use toilet paper before you use anything else on here. And you're gonna use it after you use anything longer on here on this list. Okay? If that makes sense. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay? Just in case the kids are watching. So that's my list for today. That's my list, and we covered, I don't even know what we started on. Maybe P through T, is that right? And if, you know what? I'm gonna finish up this ABC series next time. So that will probably be a really small list, because I'm not about to start thinking of words or items that start with a couple of them letters. I'll just say, you know what? You're on your own. All right? So hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button just to help me out. All right? Till next time. Till next video. See you next time. Be blessed.